It's all good, you know.
Private Wilson Bishop, 22, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Sergeant Bertram Brown, 21, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private John Charles Edwards, age 24, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Second Lieutenant J. Roy Ferguson, age 27, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Lawrence Joseph Fewer, 23, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Corporal Robert LeBoeuf, age 25, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private James Raymond Mooney, age 23, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Michael Joseph O'Flynn, 22, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Company Sergeant Major Robert Brandfit Porter, age 29, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Frederick Wilcox, 27, of Grand Falls, Windsor.
they shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We
We'd like to remind everyone that the Legion's Memorial Day service and the rededication of the cenotaph will take place here later this morning, beginning at 11 a.m. Thank you.
But anyway, but I figured you'd want to know.
Private George Abbott, age 22. Private Stanley Abbott, 21. Lance Corporal Walter Ernest Alexander, 24. Private Israel Anderson, 20. Private Joseph Andrews, 27. Private Gilbert Antle, 21. Private James Atwill, 26. Lance Corporal Edward Alphonsus Eyre, 19. Captain Eric S. Eyre, 27. Second Lieutenant Gerald W. Eyre, 25. Second Lieutenant Wilfred D. Eyre, 21. Lance Corporal Horatio Barber, 26. Private Maxwell Burns, 22. Private Leonard Josiah Barrett, 21. Private Joseph Patrick Bartlett, 22. Private John Barton, 29. Private Frederick Donald Bastow, age unknown. Private William Bennett, 31. Private Wilson Bishop, 22, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Stuart Malcolm Boone, 20. Private Charles Bowman, 26. Private John Breen, age unknown. Private David Brent, 23. Private Michael Broderick, 27. Sergeant Bertram Brown, 21, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Edward John Brown, age 28. Private Alan Burge, 20. Private Garrett Burke, 25. Private Leo Michael Burke, 18. Sergeant Sidney George Burry, 31. Private Edward William Butler, 25. Private Harry Butler, 20. Private Ignatius Joseph Butler, 20. Private John Joseph Cal, 36. Private Martin Joseph Cal, 24. Private Roger Callahan, 26. Private John J. Carew, 26. Private John Joseph Carew, 24. Private Edward Kerrigan, 21. Sergeant Thomas Carroll, 46. Private John Carsons, 20. Lance Corporal Llewellyn James Carter, 21. Private Ernest Leslie Chafe, 25. Private Bernard Cleary, 19. Quartermaster Sergeant Charles Allen Cleary, 21. Private John Cleary, 21. Private Harold Gordon Kosh, 21. Private Edward Lewis Cole, 18. Private James Patrick Connors, 23. Private Harry Coombs, 21.
Private Lawrence Joseph Corcoran, age 33. Corporal William Patrick Costello, 29. Private Norman Coltis, 17. Private Harrison Courage, 23. Private Henry Charles Crane, 29. Private Llewellyn C. Cranford, 24. Private Kenneth Critch, 25. Private Harrison Crocker, 25. Private George Graham Crosby, 17. Private Nathaniel Croucher, 19. Private John Thomas Curley, 35. Private Henry Charles Daw, 25. Sergeant George Dick, 27. Private William Patrick Doheny, 24. Lance Corporal John Thomas Doyle, 25. Private Arthur Driscoll, 20. Private John Duke, 24. Lance Corporal John Joseph Dunphy, 20. Private William Dunphy, 23. Private Patrick Egan, 28. Private Edwin Edgar, Jr., 19. Private Silas Edgecombe, age unknown. Private John Charles Edwards, age 24, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private John Elliott, 20. Sergeant William Skeffington Elliott, 22. Lance Corporal John Joseph Ellis, 22. Private Gordon Etheridge, 24. Private Henry Evans, 22. Private Joseph Wellington Evans, 22. Private Nicholas Evans, 20. Private Stephen Fallon, 17. Private Martin Patrick Farrell, 19. Second Lieutenant J. Roy Ferguson, age 27, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Sergeant Stuart Small Ferguson, 26. Private Lawrence Joseph Fewer, 23, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Frank Fillier, 19. Private Gerald Ford, 22. Private William Fowler, 24. Private John Frampton, 21. Lance Corporal James Freak, 22. Private John Joseph French, 25. Private William Fry, 24. Private Francis Joseph Galgay, 21. Lance Corporal Edward James Gardner, 25. Private Theophilus Gardner, 22. Private Fred Garf, 22. Lance Corporal Arthur William Gillum, 21. Sergeant Edward Francis Gladney, 22. Second Lieutenant William Hayes Grant, 25. Lance Corporal Matthew Greeley, 27.
Corporal Chester Cameron Guy, age 20. Private Albert Haynes, 22. Private John Hancock, 18. Corporal Wilfred T. Harbin, 18. Lance Corporal Frank Harnett, 32. Private George William Harris, 24. Private Harvey Newman Harris, 20. Private George Bernard Hatfield, 22. Private George Hawkins, 26. Private Patrick Joseph Hayes, 19. Private Arthur S. Hayward, 20. Private Robert William Heel, age unknown. Private James Patrick Heaney, 22. Private Thomas Berkeley Hefford, 27. Lieutenant Hubert C. Herder, 25. Sergeant Edmund James Higgins, age unknown. Lance Corporal John Herbert Hockley, 38. Private Luke Holden, 21. Private Joseph Holohan, 26. Private Michael John Holland, 19. Private James John Howard, 22. Private Peter J. Hudson, 18. Private Francis Joseph Hussey, 18. Private Harold Hutchins, 19. Private Harry Hines, 21. Lance Corporal Richard Edward Hines, age 25. Private William Garland Ivany, 21. Private Bert Jackman, 27. Private Michael Joseph Jackman, 19. Lance Corporal Frederick James, 23. Private George Robert James, 29. Private Maxwell James, 20. Private John Allen Jeans, 33. Private Silas Jeffers, 23. Private Alfred Johnson, 23. Private John Joseph Johnson, 23. Private Arthur Jones, 37. Second Lieutenant Clifford H. O. Jupp, 25. Private Eber Kearley, 21. Sergeant Michael Francis Kelly, 26. Private Thomas Joseph Kelly, 26. Private Michael Francis Kennedy, 22. Private Alexander King, 24. Private Joseph Andrew King, 22. Private William Knight, 22. Sergeant William Blackler Knight, 23. Private Robert Joseph Lahey, 28. Private James Joseph Lanigan, 20. Private Michael Francis Lannon, 23. Private William Joseph Lannon, 23.
Private Samuel John Learning, 20. Corporal Robert LeBoeuf, age 25, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private William Edward Shana, age 24. Lance Corporal Augustus Lilly, 33. Private Francis Thomas Lind, 37. Private David Linehan, 21. Private Samuel Luff, 20. Private George Lukens, 23. Private George Lukens, age unknown. Private Alan Lyons, 24. Private Alexander McDougall, 23. Private Andrew Joseph McKay, 18. Private Richard Joseph Madigan, 19. Private James J. Marr, 20. Private Malcolm Cyril Mahaney, 23. Sergeant Augustus J. Manning, 23. Private Eric Shannon Martin, 23. Private Joseph Martrette, 20. Private William Masters, 23. Private Donald Fraser McNeil, 20. Private William Robert McNiven, 21. Private Robert Meadus, 20. Private Thomas Mealy, 19. Lieutenant Fred C. Malore, 28. Private Maxwell James Mercer, 19. Private Robert Mercer, age 25. Company Sergeant Major Victor William Miles, 31. Private George Miller, 26. Private James Raymond Mooney, age 23, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Eric Moore, 21. Private William Morgan, 16. Private James R. Morris, 24. Private Kenneth Morris, 27. Private John Thomas Morrissey, 25. Private Joseph Morton, 25. Private Alan Moyes, 24. Private Edward Joseph Murphy, 24. Private Lawrence Murphy, 21. Private Charles Nelson, 24. Private George Fred Newhook, 22. Private Archibald Mark Newman, 26. Private Campbell Withycombe Nichols, 20. Private Herman Noseworthy, 21. Private William Vincent O'Brien, 21. Private Albert O'Driscoll, 27. Private Michael Joseph O'Flynn, 22, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private William Joseph O'Keefe, 21. Private James Joseph O'Leary, 37. Sergeant William Ollerhead, 25. Private Michael Joseph O'Neill, age unknown.
Lance Corporal Douglas McNeil Osmond, age 26. Private Cecil Parmiter, 19. Private Aubrey L. Parsons, 19. Private Charles Albert Parsons, 25. Private Private Reginald J. Paul, 21. Private Edward Peckford, 20. Private William Pennell, 25. Private Augustus Penny, 22. Private Josiah H. Penny, 22. Private William G. Perrin, 19. Private John Charles Piercy, 19. Lance Corporal George Edward Pike, 33, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private James Joseph Pike, 19. Lance Corporal Stanley Gordon Pike, 25. Private Stanley Stewart Pinsent, 21. Private Stuart Pinsent, 28. Corporal Richard Pittman, 28. Private Archibald Harold Porter, 21. Company Sergeant Major Robert Brandfit Porter, age 29, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private James Matthew Power, 19. Private William Patrick Prowse, 23. Private Michael Joseph Quigley, 27. Sergeant Charles Reed, 30. Second Lieutenant Robert Bruce Reed, 21. Private William Joseph Reed, 21. Lance Corporal Arthur James Rendell, age 20. Second Lieutenant Clifford Rendell, 21. Private John Joseph Rice, 27. Private Patrick Richardson, 21. Private Sidney Rideout, 21. Private Edward Joseph Rogers, 19. Private Michael Joseph Ross, 19. Second Lieutenant R. Wallace Ross, 22. Private Matthew Rossiter, 20. Lance Corporal Edward Clayton Rousel, 24. Second Lieutenant John Rousel, 21. Private William Russell, 19. Second Lieutenant William Thomas Ryle, 28. Corporal William Joseph Ryan, 25. Private Thomas Seymour, 27. Lance Corporal Edwin L. Shave, 19. Private Richard M. Short, 20. Lieutenant Richard A. Shortall, 25. Private George Percival Sims, 25. Private Robert Ronald Sims, 19. Private George Stewart Small, 19. Private Josiah Smith, 19. Private Zachariah Smith, 23. Private John Charles Snellgrove, 24. Private Douglas K. Snow, 19.
Lance Corporal Frederick E. Snow, age 21. Private John S. Snow, 20. Private George Sparks, 19. Lance Corporal Frank J. Spurl, 21. Lieutenant Owen W. Steele, 29. Private Harry Groves Strathy, 23. Private Ambrose William Stride, 24. Lance Corporal Norman Wheatley Strong, 20. Private Silas Stuckless, 26. Captain Michael Francis Summers, 26. Private Alfred Penny Taylor, 22. Private Charles F. Taylor, 23. Second Lieutenant George Hayward Taylor, 24. Corporal Herbert Taylor, 20. Private Donald Templeman, 23. Private Walter Thomas, 27. Private Michael Francis Walsh, 25. Private Garland Warford, 22. Private Robert James Watkins, 26. Private Edward West, age unknown. Private Stanley West, 23. Lance Corporal Harry T. Westcott, 23. Private Augustine Whalen, 23. Private Frederick Wheeler, 19. Private Frederick White, 24. Private William White, age 26. Private William Arthur White, 21. Private Willis White, 20. Private Edgar Charles Whitten, 23. Private Arthur White, 26. Private Frederick Wilcox, 27, of Grand Falls, Windsor. Private Robert John Williams, 21. Private George Windsor, 18. Private Edward Rosier Winter, 18. Lance Corporal Randolph Milligan Winter, 29. Private Frank Woodford, 24. Private Kenneth Woodman, 22. Private Arthur Harold Young, 23.